Scorpio, welcome to your hopes, fears, and reality spread. As per usual, you can click right on that description box below, and it will talk about the significance of the spread as well as the placement of each card. And two cards already fell out of the deck. Okay, that's something. So, you're hoping to apply constructive criticism to something that used to cause you anxiety. Okay. This is about inner conflict, but inner conflict can sometimes be very constructive. This is you questioning and actually going back and forth between what this is. If you're not familiar with the term, what this is you resolving dissonance. And if you're unfamiliar, this is what therapists do. When you talk to a therapist and they take all that time taking notes, is they take notes on your thoughts, and then they take notes on your thoughts, and then when you leave the room, they compare the days of notes between you talking, and they look for dissonance. They look for a set of values that doesn't match up with, you said this one day and you said that the other day, and these are opposing ideas. So then the next time you go back to the therapist and you get to talking, they'll politely or try and work it into the conversation. You said this. Why is that? And then they'll write down the whys. And then they'll get you talking again to forgetting about those questions that they just asked. And then they'll be like, oh, you said this. And they'll pull up that opposing view. Why is that? And then that's what therapists address. And that's how therapists help you work through therapists do a lot more than just that. But that's like the very basic of, because we get a lot of anxiety. And anxiety stems from loss of control. So when we have two opposing views of something, which is actually very easy for a very intelligent and intellectual person to have, because as you have the thought, you process the idea and you pull up all these cognitive tags that will support or go against a particular idea. So in one context, you might think of one thing one way. In another context, you might think of something a different way, which is called cognitive dissonance. So you would support an idea differently depending on the context in which it's brought up, which is good because that means that you're constantly changing and adapting. But my best example of cognitive dissonance is somebody who smokes and knows it's bad for them. Like they say, oh yeah, I know I should, and everybody knows somebody like this, somebody who's tried to quit smoking like 10 times. I know I should quit smoking, but it helps me relax. I know I should quit smoking, but it helps me sleep at night. I know I should quit smoking, but I always have to have a cigarette after the meal. That's cognitive dissonance. They will say that they know something is bad for them, but then they will argue the reason why it's okay to do it this time. I even heard somebody one time make the excuse, oh, I know I should quit smoking, but it helps me go to the bathroom. And I was like, okay. But that's what you're doing right now, is you're trying to be your own therapist by recognizing this dissonance in your head. You're recognizing, oh, I told this person this thing and I told that person that thing, and I have an opposing idea here. It's time for me to actually look back and look at my value system and get rid of some of this anxiety by applying what I know to a situation and making my argument more standard across the board. This is a very intellectual thing to do, and it's a good thing to do, Scorpio. But what you fear is you do this habit and you have this habit based on the influence of your environment, because this is somebody who is bidding for somebody else's attention, okay? This is somebody who's a little desperate for new growth, maybe new connections and new ideas. And I don't mean desperate as in like, not being your authentic self, but I mean when you feel that feeling of having a connection, you don't want to let go of that connection. So you might agree with somebody and allow them to persuade you beyond your value system just because you're so intent on making this connection. And this is somebody, if this were in the upright, it would be somebody who finds something with themselves and brings it into fruition. In the inverse, it's a little bit the opposite. This is somebody who's being controlled by their environment. So what you fear is that the environment that you're in is something that you want. There's like this new growth that you're hoping for, be it like a group of friends, or I get a group vibe out of this, not necessarily like a very like romantic relationship. So this could be like family, or this could be like a gym that you belong to, or this could be a new hobby that you picked up, or this new group of people. This could even be a new job. This new group of people has more influence over this dissonance than you do. That's your fear. You fear that you've become a little bit too agreeable, and that's what's causing this conflict in your head. The reality of the situation is you're not sure that you want to put the time and energy into finding the balance for this. You're not sure that you want to put the time and energy into gaining reciprocity for this. You feel like you want to be a part of the group, but it's causing conflict in your values. And you're not sure if you should put your time and energy into being part of the group or if you should put that time and energy into being yourself, because you don't feel like you as you stand are being very authentic right now to this group. And a Scorpio lacking authenticity could probably feel really off. And that's what it is right now. You're trying to fit in. And it was causing you anxiety, and you want to put an end to that anxiety. Yep, see? This is the opposite of a benevolent leader. See, in the past, you saw yourself as somebody, a group leader. Now you're seeing yourself as a group follower. This change ushered in so fast, you didn't even recognize that you were letting go of your past in order to grab on to this new opportunity. Now that you've denied a little bit of who you are, you find yourself being a little bit more of you recognize yourself as being a stranger to yourself, but familiar to the group. Okay? So this change happened way too fast. You just started hanging around with people, and it just started feeling really good. And you're like, wait, I lost myself in this. I lost my value system. I lost my, that line in the sand that I used to maintain with people has slowly begun to erode. And I'm letting more people in than I'm comfortable with. But they don't really know me. They know this portion of me that I adapted to be accepted by the group. And it's that lack of authenticity that's making you recognize you're uncomfortable in the situation. So is it more important to be yourself, Scorpio, or is it more important to be accepted? I hope you found a message that serves your highest good, and I'll see you next week.